Hey, hey, what's up, everybody? True Boxing here. Thank you for coming back to get hit with the truth. So today we are doing the IBF Mid-Year Champions Report, as we are going to have a little more in-depth, detailed Champions Report as we are at our halfway mark through 2024. Now, before we get into that, if you could smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate any and all support that I can get as I continue to build my channel here. So the mid-year champions report is, we basically get a little bit more into detail for every belt and champion from 122 pounds all the way to heavyweight. And then at the end of the video, it's a little bit added extra in on, where I feel each title and champion are going to go before the end of the year. I give some predictions out. So let's get started with the 122-pound title, which is still currently held by the undefeated, undisputed IBF and Super Bantamweight World Champion Naoya Inoue, who entered the year as champion, as the undisputed champ, holding all 4 titles. He successfully defended his belts against Luis Nery, the former 2-division champion. He got up off the canvas in, I believe it was the first or second round, and scored a couple knockdowns en route to a 6th round stoppage win as he retained his undisputed title. Right now, the talks for Inoue are a little bit up in the air. We've heard, we know the WBA ordered Inoue to make a mandatory defense against Marajan Akhmadaliev, and then we heard that Inoue is going to decline making his mandatory in favor of fighting TJ Doheny, the former champion. But nothing has come from that in the last couple weeks. That was just the news. All we've heard since then is that Nakatani, the 118-pound champion, could be fighting Inoue at some point, maybe later in the year. We know Sam Goodman, the undefeated IBF and WBO mandatory challenger, is also an option. So by the next champions report, I believe we will find out what Inoue is going to do next. And I'm hoping he fights MJ so he can hold on to his undisputed title, but we'll see what goes down. 126 featherweight, still the reigning champion there is Luis Alberto Lopez. Lopez entered the year as champ in March. He made a mandatory defense of his title against Japanese contender Raya Abe, dominated Abe, stopping him in 8 rounds to retain his belt. Now, August 10th on ESPN, he is headlining a card and will make I believe this is going to be his 4th defense when he takes on former junior featherweight champ Angelo Leo. Great slugfest and matchup right here. Really looking forward to it. It's going to take place for the next champions report. So my prediction is I got Lopez winning this fight by a hard-fought but deserving decision win, as he will retain his belt. But I do think Leo's a live underdog, and I'm really looking forward to that fight. August 10th, Lopez and Leo. Then the 130-pound super featherweight title, currently held by new champion Anthony Kakachi. Joe Cordina entered the year as the undefeated champion. In May, after the fight with Kakachi got postponed, he would defend his title against Kakachi on May 18th on the Usyk Fury undercard. And in a stunning upset, Kakachi would stop Joe Cordina, handing him his first loss and taking the IBF title. We thought he was going to be ordered to fight his IBF mandatory challenger Eduardo Nunez next, but we just found out that he is now going to return in September to defend his title against Josh Warrington on the Joshua Dubois undercard. So interesting turn of events right there. That's taking place after my next champions report, so I will give my prediction on Kakachi and Warrington officially on the next champions report at the end of August. Then 135 lightweight, the title there is held by newly crowned champion Vasily Lomachenko. Loma won the vacant title. The title was vacant entering the year, and Loma captured the vacant title in May with a dominating 11th round TKO victory over George Kambosos Jr. as he went to Australia and dominated Kambosos. There was talks before Gervonta Davis's fight that he and Loma were interested in each other, and now, from what Bob Arum is saying, is they're having respectful conversations with Gervonta Davis's team, and we could very well be seeing Lomachenko and Tank Davis later this year in a unification bout for the WBA and IBF titles. So we'll see how that all shakes out. Hopefully by the next Champions Report, we know which direction Lomachenko's going in. Next, the 140-pound junior welterweight title. It's currently held by undefeated and newly crowned champion Liam Paro of Australia. Paro scored a major upset and defeated Subriel Matias, who had returned in June. Paro, again, major upset, 12-round unanimous decision as he became the new world champion and is now looking to maybe defend his title in Australia in his next fight. I think the IBF is going to order him to fight his mandatory challenger, undefeated Richardson Hitchens. Could be wrong. I've heard Eddie Hearn has had talks about potentially fighting Devin Haney, so we'll see what happens, but I'm hoping by the next Champions Report we have a clear, direct line at what Paro's going to do next. 147 welterweight, the reigning undefeated champion there is Jerome Boots Ennis. Boots entered the year as champion. He signed with DAZN and Matchroom, and now this weekend on July 6th, July 13th, I'm sorry, he will make the first defense of his title when he battles replacement opponent David Avanesian. Avanesian had to step in because mandatory challenger Cody Crowley had to pull out, had to pull out of the fight because he failed an eye exam. So Boots had to scramble and find an opponent, and he got former world title challenger Avanesian. Boots is coming in a heavy favorite. I believe he's going to destroy Avanesian and knock him out and retain his IBF title. So we'll see if maybe Boots is looking to have a quick turnaround and see what possibly could be next. Hopefully we know something by the end of August if Boots gets through Avanesian, of course, on July 13th on DAZN. Next, 154. The title, the 154-pound super welterweight title was vacant coming into the year. Then Bakram Melikuziev or Murtazalayev, Murtazalayev captured the vacant championship with a hard-fought 11th round TKO victory over veteran Jack Kolke as he became a world champion for his first time. Since winning the title in April, we have not heard anything out of Murtazalayev and what he's going to do next. But I really believe that he is a wide open option for a lot of these guys with a big name. I wouldn't be surprised if Erickson Lubin, who is, I know he was the highest available challenger, or at least, like I said, available challenger. He was the highest rated, and I wouldn't be surprised if he gets the next crack at Murtazalayev, but we'll see what happens. I really am hoping by the next Champions Report at the end of August that we know what he is going to be doing next, though. 160 middleweight. Janibek Alamanhalai is still the reigning IBF and unified middleweight champion of the world. He also holds the WBO belt. He will be returning on Saturday, July 13th in the main event of an ESPN card to defend both of his belts against undefeated Andre Milikevich. Yeah, whatever. He'll fight him. I think Janibek is going to stop Milikevich and retain his two belts. And then I think he will end up fighting his WBO mandatory challenger, Hamza Shiraz, later in the year. But we'll see what goes down with that title. Hopefully we know a little bit more once they settle their score. And then by the end of August, hopefully we hear something on what the possibility will be for the winner of Janibek and Milikevich. Again, they fight July 13th on ESPN. 168 super middleweight. still the reigning IBF and undisputed champion is Canelo Alvarez. Canelo returned in May and got a hard-fought but convincing unanimous decision win over Jaime Munguia to retain the undisputed title. The IBF, less than 2 weeks later, ordered Canelo to defend their title against undefeated mandatory challenger William Skull, but Canelo at first decided that he was gonna vacate the belt, but then he worked out a deal seemingly with the IBF. It looks like step aside money in order to fight whoever he wants in his next fight, and it looks like he's gonna fight his WBA mandatory challenger, undefeated Edgar Berlanga, next. It looks like they will collide in September, although a report came out yesterday that Berlanga and Jermall Charlo are the options for Canelo's next fight, and he also could be facing Terrence Bud Crawford at the end of the year or early in 2025. So we'll see what goes down. By the next Champions Report, we should know what Canelo is doing next. Then 175 light heavyweight. The reigning IBF and unified champion is undefeated Artur Beterbiev. Beterbiev returned in January and dominated Callum Smith with a 7th round TKO. Then he was supposed to return June 1st against Dimitri Bivol and attempt to become the undisputed light heavyweight champion, but he had to pull out with an injury, and now he will return against Bivol in October to go for undisputed. This is a huge fight between these two guys. I'm really looking forward to it. I will give my official prediction on this fight after the next at the next Champions Report, which is at the end of August. Cannot wait for that fight though in October. The next title we look at is the 200-pound cruiserweight championship, which is currently held again by undefeated reigning two-time champion Jai Opetaia. The title was vacant entering the year. Opetaia got the opportunity, and rightfully so, to challenge for the belt that he was wrongfully stripped of. Excuse me. And he would take on Maris Bradis, the former 3-time world champion, in a rematch. These two guys would go at it. Jai Opetaia outboxed Bradis for the better part of 9-10 rounds, outworked them, and then Bradis came alive and hurt Opetaia in the late rounds, put the pressure on him. Opetaia had to hold on, and he finally made he would make the final bell, and he would earn a 12-round unanimous decision in their rematch and regain the vacant IBF title. So congrats to him. Opetaia next. We don't know for sure. We know he wants to unify belts, but it looks like WBA champion and WBO champions Gilberto Ramirez and Chris Billon Smith would rather fight each other than fight Opetaia next. So not too sure what Jai Opetaia is going to do next. And then finally, the heavyweight championship. Alexander Usyk entered the year as the undefeated IBF and unified champ. In May, he scored the biggest victory of his career when he scored a monster victory over in close 12-round split decision over Tyson Fury to unify all 4 belts and become the undisputed heavyweight champion of the world. The IBF was going to strip him originally, but was considering allowing him to stay champion. But finally, just a couple weeks ago, Usyk got tired of waiting on a decision, and he decided to vacate the title, allowing interim champion Daniel Dubois, who upset Filip Hrgovic in their June 1st bout, allowing him to be upgraded to full champion. And now Dubois is going to return in September and take on former 2-time unified champion Anthony Joshua on a September card. So a lot of moving pieces here, you know. Usyk became undisputed and then vacated the belt, and now we have Daniel Dubois is now your champion. He will fight Anthony Joshua in September. I'll give my official prediction on that fight by the next Champions Report at the end of August. So you know, looking at all the belts, you have let me see here. 4-3. I'm trying to figure out. So overall, between the 12 divisions that I cover for the IBF title, 6 of those, we've seen new champions in 6 of those different weight classes. Now, that's granted, 3 of them, the titles were vacant coming in. So we were destined to get a new champion unless a draw were to occur in those fights. But now we're going to look to see, I'm going to make bold predictions in each division for each title belt on what I believe is going to happen before the end of the year. We start at 122. The champion there is the monster, Naoya Inoue. He's the undisputed champion. I don't see Inoue losing the IBF title unless he vacates the belt because he's moving up in weight, or he just wants to fight whoever he wants to fight next in a big fight. I think that's a possibility. I think he could do that, especially if Sam Goodman, if he doesn't have the intention of fighting Sam Goodman, I think the IBF will strip him and allow Sam Goodman to fight for their vacant title, or he'll give up the belt himself. So it's really going to determine what he does next, what he decides to do next against who, and what his intentions are after that. But I really believe that's the only way he's going to lose the IBF super bantamweight title. And I'm leaning right now, I think it's about 50-50 whether he vacates or not. I'm going to say he will not with the IBF title. Because I do think Sam Goodman is in his plans. So we'll see. 126 featherweight. Luis Alberto Lopez is the reigning champ. He's going to fight Angelo Leo in August. I believe he is going to beat Angelo Leo in August by a decision. And then I don't think he's going to fight before the end of the year. He could though, but I think a 4-month turnaround, unless it's a big card or a big showdown with one of the other guys, or unless he just makes easy work of Leo, I think he's probably not going to return until January, but he could return in December. But I really think Luis Alberto Lopez is going to be very difficult to defeat. Maybe he fights Nick Ball, which is going to be a tough fight. But if he were to fight Nick Ball, I'd favor Lopez to win. I think Lopez's awkward style, he throws a lot of punches. He's an active fighter. He's been hot. I think he beats Nick Ball right now, but we'll see. So we'll see what happens. But I'm predicting Lopez to end the year as champion still. 130 super featherweight, Anthony Kakachi is the champion. He's fighting Josh Warrington. I think his size is going to beat Josh Warrington. And then after that, it just depends on if he's returning before the end of the year to fight Eduardo Nunez. If he fights Eduardo Nunez for the end of the year, I'm picking Nunez. If he doesn't, then he's going to reign on as champion through the end of the year. But I do believe he beats Josh Warrington and keeps that belt. But we'll see. 135 lightweight, Vasily Lomachenko. I believe Lomachenko is going to get the unification bout with Gervonta Tank Davis. And here's a sneak preview. I think Loma's going to beat Tank Davis. I honestly do. That's my prediction. I'm picking Loma to beat Tank Davis before the end of the year and become the unified lightweight champion and end your year as unified lightweight champ. But we'll see. 140 junior welterweight. Liam Paro is your current champion right now. Paro, I believe Paro he's the new champ. I believe he's going to return and fight Richardson Hitchens next, his mandatory challenger, and I think he beats Richardson Hitchens when they fight to retain his belt, but we'll see. 147 is Jerome Boots Ennis. Boots is going to fight David Avanesian, and I think he's going to beat him. And then I'm hoping Cody Crowley passes his eye exam, and these two guys can lock up for the end of the year. If not, I think he'll defend his belt one more time before the end of the year and defeat whoever he fights and move into 2025 as your reigning IBF welterweight champ. 154 super welterweight. I honestly believe Bakram Murtazalayev is going to fight somebody legit in his next fight with a name, possibly Erickson Lubin, and I think he loses that title. But I do think it's going to create an opportunity, and he could surprise a lot of people and upset whatever big name or bigger name he gets. But I do believe, I am predicting that I think somebody is going to take the IBF title from Murtazalayev before the end of the year. We'll see. 160 middleweight. I think Janibek Alamanhalai is going to beat Andrei Mikhailovich on July 13th. And then I think before the end of the year, possibly on the Fury-Usyk undercard, I think Janibek's going to defend the unified title against undefeated WBO mandatory challenger Hamza Shiraz, and I think he will lose to Shiraz. So I got Shiraz taking those 2 belts from Janibek before the end of the year, and becoming the unified middleweight champion. 168, super middleweight. I think Canelo is going to fight Edgar Berlanga. I think he's going to beat Edgar Berlanga. I think the IBF will allow him to stay champion still through a potential showdown with Crawford at the end of the year or in January. And so I do believe Canelo, I'm leaning towards that he's going to end the year as champ. But I do also believe that it's possible that the IBF could strip him of that title. 175 light heavyweight. Artur Beterbiev is the reigning and unified light heavyweight champion right now. Beterbiev is fighting Dimitri Bivol. I believe Dimitri Bivol is going to be the new IBF and undisputed light heavyweight world champion. I think he's going to defeat Artur Beterbiev in October and take that title. That's my bold prediction right now. Dimitri Bivol ends the year as light heavyweight champ. Cruiserweight, 200 pounds. Jai Opetaia. I believe Jai Opetaia, whoever he fights, he is going to beat that person. I think he's going to return either on the Beterbiev Bivol undercard or on the Fury Usyk undercard, and defend his belts. I'm hoping he unifies belts, but whatever he does, I think he is going to beat whatever cruiserweight is put in front of him and end the year as the IBF cruiserweight champion still. And then finally, heavyweight. Daniel Dubois is the new champion. I think he is going to lose to Anthony Joshua in September. And then I don't know if Joshua returns. It depends on how the fight with Dubois goes. He could return in December on the Fury Usyk undercard and take on a big name. But right now, I'm having trouble seeing anybody outside of the Usyk Fury winner beating Anthony Joshua. So I'm going to predict Joshua becomes IBF champion again and then retains his title through the end of the year. So those are my bold predictions, and that is the IBF's mid-year champions report. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, smash the like button, leave a comment, or subscribe to the channel. I appreciate any and all support. This is True Boxing. You've been hit with the truth.